What's up, guys? Welcome back to another edition of the Leadoff Show. This is May 23rd. We got a 10-game slate here on this Tuesday night. We can go ahead and jump right in. Pretty interesting slate. We have a couple top pitchers. Strider and Cole again are on the same slate. We got Darvish and Sonny Gray both over 10K, and then not a lot in the middle to love. So we can go through it and see if we can pick anything out. Real quick on the weather, I don't think there's anything of note today. Some wind blowing in Chicago, I think that's not listed. But in Wrigley there's a little bit of wind blowing in. Yeah, I guess only 6 miles an hour, so just a slight bump to pitchers, but nothing too crazy. But then yeah, we're gonna have to figure out what to do with Strider or Cole again. The decision that we've had to make now for the last several weeks, and I don't know, maybe we can see if we can play them both together. But that might take us to more chalky stuff like Marlins and Coors or something like that. So we'll figure it out. Real quick, let's go ahead and filter by our slate. All right, so our first game, we got Orioles Yankees. 3.2 total for the Orioles, 4.3 totals for the Yankees. Kyle Bradish 7.2K, Garrett Cole 11.2K. There's gonna be a lot of guys in the middle here that we're gonna have to try to filter between. Bradish is probably not one of the guys in consideration. If we can't get to Cole and Strider, we might have to go to someone in the like 6, 7, 8K range. But I don't think Bradish is that guy. Let's see, we can pull him up real quick. I think he's been decent this year, but yeah, 21% K rate. This Yankees lineup has, kind of talked about it, is pretty watered down, but I just don't think there's any reason to go to Bradish here, especially in Yankee Stadium. Cole on the other side, probably not the top pitcher, only because we have Spencer Strider, but Cole's been solid. He hasn't quite had the K rate. You can see there only 6.46 his last 3 starts. So really, the Ks have been down. So that's a little bit of a concern, just for like his complete upside. Still 30% K rate overall when you factor in like last year and this year. I think I'd have Strider over Cole just for pure upside. I think Strider, even against the Dodgers, could go out and drop 40 or something like that, where I don't think Cole's capable of that in this spot versus the Orioles. But I'm still going to try to get Yankees, only 26% this year. I think I'm still going to try to get to Strider and Cole, and we'll just see what bats that leads us with. All right, over on the Orioles side, not taking anyone here. Cole, like I just said, his strikeouts are down, but his home runs are also down a little bit. So that, definitely limits some of these upsides. Yes, Cole will probably give up 1 or 2 runs, but you're really just guessing on where it's coming from. I guess Rushman or Santander, if you had to go somebody. Their prices are pretty steep though. So I guess Santander would be the only guy I would have interest in at all, really, here in this spot. Over on the Yankee side, I don't really have a lot of interest in the Yankees either. We're going to really need some cheap bats, because regardless, we're playing either Cole or Strider at the very least, and maybe both. And even our SP2 might be over 9K, so we're really going to need some cheap batters. I do provide that a little bit with some of these guys at the bottom of the order, but if we play the Yankees, we want Torres, Judge, and Rizzo. Really, everyone else is kind of underwhelming. So looking at Bradish, about even, maybe a little bit worse versus righties. So that made me like Judge. Judge I feel like performs better versus righties anyway. So I think Judge and Rizzo would be my only interest. None of these other guys really jump off the page to me against righties. So I think maybe just a one-off. Obviously, it's easy to say Judge one-off, but if you can afford him, I think he makes for a good one-off. Soler might see crazy ownership in this slate. Jordan Alvarez might see crazy ownership. So Judge might come in a little bit under-owned, so if you can afford him, I definitely like that. Our next game, we have Padres Nationals. 4.45 total for the Padres, 3.55 for the Nationals. Yu Darvish 10.5K, Mackenzie Gore 9.3K. I think both of these two guys are going to be in the mix for SP2. Like I said, if we can get Strider and Cole, I think they certainly project the best. That kind of might leave. That's not going to leave you a lot of salary left for your hitters. So you could get a little bit of a discount on Cole by going to one of these two guys. We can look at Darvish real quick. The Nationals are kind of a low strikeout team. Darvish, yeah, been decent. Kind of what we'd expect from him. 6 innings, about a strikeout per inning. Hasn't gone too deep. I think his pitch count has been a little bit lower than usual. If I remember at that Twins game, he came out at like 80 pitches or in the 80s, even though he was pitching well. Let's see if we can pull up. Yeah, Washington. Washington K rates are pretty low, so it makes for a tough matchup. So I'd much rather, if I just could get to Cole, I would take it. Darvish is kind of in this weird spot where he's super expensive, but the upside just hadn't quite been there yet this year. Over on the flip side, Mackenzie Gore at 9.3K. That's a steep price for him for sure. Especially here at home, it's a tough ballpark to pitch in. So yeah, you can say he's only, been over 20 points twice his last 5 starts, even though he has been pitching decently well. The strikeouts can get there. No Machado in this lineup certainly helps. This is just another low strikeout team as well. Top 5 hitters are all 21% or lower. Zokar, Nola, yeah, really just Dixon's the only guy over 30%. He might not even be in there. Really, man, I don't want to go to Gore either. I feel like at that point you might as well just take a discount and go to Eduardo Rodriguez, who's at 8.8K. Maybe even Kodai Senga, 9.4K, basically the same price. So I think I'm probably out on both these guys, just because such a low strikeout team for both offenses. On the flip side, though, I'm probably out on both offenses as well. Everything we just said, Darvish and Gore, both good pitchers. It's kind of just their price tag that's making us a little hesitant. Let's see if we pick off any one-offs. Obviously, Tatis is always in play. Bogarts, I guess, but he just doesn't have a lot of upside. I feel like he's more just like a contact hitter. So 5.2K, don't love it. Maybe just Tatis and Kim. If Kim's actually in the 2-hole, I like him, and even just that pair I think would be good. Over on the National side, I don't really have a lot of interest in attacking Darvish. I expect him to go 5-6 innings, 2 runs, 6 Ks or something. And really, you're trying to guess who's going to get to him. So I guess Candelario if I had to pick somebody. But I don't think don't really have any interest here. You can see, Woba under 300 to both sides of the plate. So I think it's just getting too cute taking a National here. If you need a cheap third baseman and you fall price tag around 3.2K, Candelario is fine. But other than that, don't have any interest. All right, next game with Dodgers Braves. 3.51 total for the Dodgers, 4.99 for the Braves. Bobby Miller, 5.2K. Spencer Strider, 12.3K. All right, so this Bobby Miller kid, his first career start. From what I've heard and been able to find, he's had really good strikeout numbers in AA last year, but he struggled in AAA this year. He's kind of just getting forced into this start. They got Urias on the IL, Dustin May on the IL. He's kind of getting called up before he's ready, and obviously this is a tough matchup against the Braves. So I think I'm going to be out. Kind of the way the Dodgers kind of treat their young pitchers too. I feel like I could see him, even if he's pitching well, I could see him go 5 innings, 4 innings, something like that. So I think I'd rather go to just some of these other guys. We got Bayo at 6.3K. Even Marco Gonzalez against the A's. I can't believe I just said that, but maybe even him. I think I'm out on Bobby Miller. But one of those things that he's the only guy under 6K that's I think worth considering on the slate. So if you absolutely have to get down there, then just play him and close your eyes. But I'm going to be out. All right, Spencer Strider on the other side, not really getting a price decrease, even though he's facing the Dodgers. But I kind of like that because I might keep his ownership in check. We've seen his ownership just go crazy these last few starts. So maybe after getting beat up a little bit against the Rangers and then coming back in a tough matchup, he might be his ownership might be back down to earth. Hopefully under 40%. But we'll just have to see. I guess what the field does. If you look though, he's been dominating some really good teams. He had the Rangers last start, still had 7 Ks, but gave up 4 runs. Blue Jays, Orioles, Mets, his other 3 starts. So I still like Strider here. I'm going back to him. I just hope the price tag and the matchup keeps his ownership down, but he still, could go out and get 40 against anybody. So I'm going right back to Strider here. Over on the Dodgers side, I don't have any interest. Even if you don't play Strider, it's going to be hard. He might give up 3 or 4 runs. That's a bad start for him. And you're just going to be taking a guess on who gets to him. If it pulls up, I'm going to guess JD Martinez had 2 home runs yesterday, so his ownership might be higher than it really should be. I don't know if old man can catch up to a fastball like Strider. So I guess Muncie's the only one really jumping out. Huge numbers versus righties, and then Outman. But Outman's price is always, I feel like, a little bit higher than it should. Yeah, still 4.2K. Muncie 5.12. Yeah, I think that's just getting too cute on this slate. Because even if you don't play Strider, you're probably going Cole and another good pitcher. So you really, still need some salary. So I'm probably out on the Dodgers. Over on the Braves side, certainly have interest. Anytime the Braves are on the slate, I think they should come in lower owned, just because their price tag is kind of tough. They do have a good mix of expensive and cheap, though, to kind of make things work. I think these lower bottom of the order guys are going to they might get a good bit of ownership just because people might go here for one-offs. Acuna is 6.5K now. That's going to be tough to fit in no matter what you're playing, especially if you're playing like Strider and Cole, or Strider and Darvish or something like that. Cole, Darvish. It's going to be hard to get to these Braves, so just be careful with the bottom of this order. I think they do carry a good bit of ownership. Some of these guys for the Braves have been pretty cold, so I think I'd probably be out on like Riley. Don't really have interest in Albies versus righty. Harris, I'd probably be out on. That kind of just leaves 1 through 3, Rosario, Ozuna, and Arcia. You do end up taking some Braves, maybe pull from some of those guys there. All right, next game we got Mets Cubs, 4 total for both teams. Kota Senga 9.4K, Drew Smiley 7.3K. A little bit of wind blowing in, so just a slight bump to pitchers here. Senga coming off that crazy start versus the Rays. He had like 12 Ks in 5 innings or something like that. 31 points. So it's finally kind of saw some of the strikeout potential that we'd heard about. He's just such a high walk guy that it makes it tough. He can be so hit or miss on a given slate. So he's kind of right in that same price range as Mackenzie Gore. So it's kind of be a tough decision. I think Senga might kind of get more ownership just with it being in Wrigley, wind blowing in. You can look real quick at these strikeout rates. Yeah, you can see Senga almost a 30% strikeout rate. Pretty high strikeout rates for the team here for the Cubs. I do have interest in Senga. I think he makes for a good SP2. It certainly comes with risk. He could start walking people very quickly and things could get out of hand. But I think I like him more than Gore. So if you end up kind of in the low 9K range, I don't mind it here with Senga. You're smiling on the other side. The only reason he would even be in consideration is just because of his price. There's just not a lot to love in this middle range. He's been pretty good at home this year. We check the Mets strikeout rates. The Mets have been underperforming, but they still don't strike out. Yeah, look at these strikeout totals. The worst one is 23.5. Smiley already 21% K rate. The more I look at it, I think I'll be out on Smiley. I think I'd rather just go to Bayo or someone cheaper. All right, on the Mets side, with this weather though, I do not have interest in them either. I think, Smiley could go 5 innings with 4 Ks or something. So obviously we don't want to play him if that's the case. But on the flip side, that doesn't bode well for the Mets either. It's kind of easy answer, but really just Lindor and Alonso. The only guys really worth considering here. A little bit of wind. I think Alonso, that obviously won't matter to him. He can still jack one out. So I think I would just go there, but not a lot of interest in the full stack for the Mets, I don't think. Just looking at, they do have some cheap guys, so you might end up on like Vientos or something like that if you do end up paying up for pitchers. But yeah, I'm probably out. All right, over on the Cub side, probably out on them as well. Senga just has such good K stuff that you're really just banking on him to walk people, and that's kind of kind of a risky thing to take. Just playing him, hoping he walks people. I think I'm probably going to be out there. Let's see if anyone really stands out as like a one-off. Morel's been going crazy. I think he has like 8 home runs in his first 11 games this season, or 7 and 10 or something like that. So his ownership will probably be pretty high. But I mean, he's one of the prime strikeout guys. So for his price tag, I don't really have interest. If he bats higher in the order, I guess you can fit him in. But yeah, I'm probably just gonna be out on the Cubs here in this spot. All right, over on the other side, we got Tigers Royals. Eduardo Rodriguez, 8.8K versus Daniel Lynch, 6.4K. Don't have a team total in this game right now, I think, because Lynch is still like up in the air whether he's actually going to come off the IL and start. Over on the Tiger side, I think this is where one of our cheap stacks could come from. Done a good spot here against Lynch, so this definitely makes for an interesting game. But first, we can hit on Eduardo Rodriguez. He's been having a great season so far. We haven't really had a chance to play him. I think he's been on a lot of these like slates that start like 30 minutes before us. So kind of got hit around a little bit last time out by the Pirates. The Royals are better versus lefties as well. We can see if we pull it up because we really need someone here in this this mid range to like. We don't have our questions about Gore and Senga, so Rodriguez at 8.8K would certainly be interesting. Only 20% K rate, that kind of surprises me. Have a mix, some high strikeouts, some really low strikeouts here. For the Royals, he's going to see a lot of righties. Pasquantino and Melendez are the only lefties. 10% K rate for Pasquantino, 20% for Melendez. So that kind of hurts. The 2 lefties he's going to face have a low K rate. A little bit better K rate versus righties even. So I don't know. 81 degrees in Kansas City. I feel like we're trying to like, just poke holes at these guys or find anything to love between Rodriguez, Senga, and Gore. They're really all about the same to me, I guess. Erod might get the most ownership out of them just because of the season he's been having. I might be out on that. That definitely, yeah, kind of scares me a little bit being out on him. But I guess if you can't afford Gore and Senga and you end up in like 8K, I'd be fine going to Rodriguez because the only guys in the 8K range we have are Rodriguez and Cobb. Cobb versus the Twins. So if you can't get 2 guys over 9K, I think I'd just flat out Rodriguez is my favorite under 9K. So we'll go with it like that. But I guess see what you can build when you get there. All right, Daniel Lynch on the other side. This guy's just not a good pitcher. First start back, so I would think it's like minus or like max 90% or 90 pitches. I don't have a lot of interest in Lynch here. Yeah, only 20% K rate guy. Tigers have been hitting the ball pretty well. They actually have low K rates versus lefties. Riley Green and Rogers are the only guys with high K rates. I guess Haas at 29%. So you can look at these numbers. They're really high ISO numbers or WOBA numbers for Daniel Lynch. So don't have any interest here. I think Tigers make for our a good place to go for cheap bats. Might be kind of popular being that place for cheap bats, but I think it is a good spot. Torkelson, I really like him in the middle of the order. Ibanez, either one of these catchers would be fine. Verling at the top of the order. Javi Baez. So I really like the Tiger stack today. I think you can get to them and still pay up for 2 pitchers. That you can see. Yeah, Rogers been crushing lefties this year. Verling, Baez, Torkelson. And then if you need one of these other guys in the middle, so it might be kind of popular as some one-offs. I don't mind it though. If you need like for secondary stack, Verlin, Baez, Torkelson, I think that makes for a good affordable secondary stack and hopefully allows you to pay up twice for pitching. Over on the other side, don't have a lot of interest in the Royals, at least not for the full stack. Witt got demoted to like 6 hole yesterday, so interesting to see if they bat him at the top versus a lefty. Surely he will. Perez has been just going off lately. I think maybe just another like couple one-offs or mini stack here. I really like Olivares in there versus a lefty. So between Witt, Olivares, and Perez, I could see you getting to 1 to 3 of those guys, maybe even Garcia. But outside of that, I really don't have a lot of interest. Furman, I believe he's a catcher, isn't he? Yes, you can't even play him and Perez So yeah, maybe just a couple pieces of the Royals here if you don't play Rodriguez. All right, next game. We got Astros Brewers 4.98 total for the Astros, 4.52 total for the Brewers. JP France 7.7K versus Colin Ray 7K. I think I'm just going to be out on both pitchers here. Really like attacking the Brewers with lefties. France is a righty, so kind of out there. He got knocked around a little bit last start out by the A's, so I think I'd rather just go to one of these other pieces in that range. I might just try to get up to Eduardo Rodriguez or something like that, but I just don't let France give you a lot of upside. Yeah, only 15% K rate. Calling around the other side is terrible, so no interest there. We can just skip over that. Astros bats, though, I think make for one of the top stacks of the day. It's probably going to come down to the Marlins, the Astros, the Mariners, maybe the Rockies or Braves. I think, especially after what they just did to Burns last night, I think the Astros are probably going to be a top stack on this slate. The price is just going to be tough, though. I mean, we talked about we're going to be hurting for salary here if we pay up twice for pitching. So if you pay down for one spot, it might be kind of unique just because you're one of the few people that can actually afford the Astros. So I don't mind going here at all. Ray's just terrible. I've been picking on him all season. So I'd just be careful at the bottom of this order. You're kind of forcing in junk for sure. So yeah, the top can get kind of expensive. So just mess around with it, see if you can fit them in. Maybe see what SP2 this leaves you with. If you're stuck with a terrible SP2, then maybe you have to just get off the Astros. But if you can find a lineup that works with a decent SP2, certainly like the Astros here. Brewers on the other side, I think are interesting. I don't have a lot of love for France, and they are kind of affordable. Like we said before, lefties kind of tear this team up, but righties they can hit around a little bit. Really like Yelich, Damas, Tellez, Contreras, and even Taylor if he's in there. I don't know what those prices come out to, but yeah, Damas under 4K like that. Tellez 4.1K is a fair price. Yelich 4.5K is a fair price. Contreras, Anderson, Terrain, Taylor. I think any of those guys are in play. The Brewers should make for fairly affordable stack. So I really like going there. If you can't go full stack, we can see if France struggles versus one side versus other. Yeah, oh my gosh, look at this ISO versus righties. Getting destroyed by righties. So that gives me even more love to this stack just because Yelich and Tellez are good versus anybody. Or they're good versus any righty. But then if France is so bad against righties, that gives me a lot of interest in Adames and Contreras for sure. So really like the Brewers here on this slate. Our next game we got Giants Twins. 3.68 total for the Giants, 4.32 total for the Twins. Alex Cobb 8.3K versus Sonny Gray 10.6K. It is warm here in Minnesota, 83 degrees. Wind just blowing across the field, but it is warm. So Cobb is just like a ground ball pitcher with kind of limited upside because of that. Let's see. Yeah, even his best starts, more because he goes deep. He goes 7 innings, but only 3 strikeouts. Kind of an outlier strikeout performance there. First to Padres, so he's one of those guys. If he's getting strikeouts, his pitch count just climbs like crazy, and he kind of only goes 5 innings. So in that mid tier, we kind of talked about the mid tier is kind of weak. I'd rather go to Erod at 8.8K, but obviously it's one of those things. If you can't afford him at 8.8K, then I guess Cobb is a reasonable option at 8.3. Really high strikeout rates for these Twins. So yeah, the more I look at it, I think Cobb's in play as an SB2, more just like last man standing. There's not a lot of love in the middle. So I think I would rank them Erod and then Cobb. So obviously if you can't get the $500 difference, I think Cobb's a playable option here in the middle. Gray on the other side, he's been performing really well, but I mean he's 10.6K. Cole's 600 more. Darvish is 100 more versus the Nationals. I think I'm probably going to be out on Sonny Gray. He has a higher strikeout rate versus righties, and the Giants are really good about like mixing and matching lefties against you. So I don't know how many righties he's actually going to see in this lineup. Gray should be very, very low owned. So if you end up on Coors or something like that and you need to pivot off Cole, I think Gray's in play. His ownership should be less than half of what Strider and Cole are. So I think he makes for a tournament play only because of his ownership, but just with regards to projection, I think I'm probably out on Gray. Giants on the other side, not a lot of interest here. I think Gray will do well enough to kind of limit these guys. His ISO numbers, yeah, really low ISO numbers. He's just a good ground ball pitcher. So maybe just JD Davis, especially with this wind kind of blowing out to left field. Maybe some of these righties in this warm environment. So Davis or Haniger, I guess, would be really my only interest here for the Giants. Twins on the other side, Cobb, even if he, doesn't have a huge game, he still should limit upside. He's a heavy ground ball pitcher, so doesn't give up a lot of power. Yeah, 61% ground ball rate is crazy. So I think the only twin I would have interest in would be Gallo. He can hit a home run versus anybody, especially if he's leading off. That's always nice. But outside of Gallo, I think I'm out on the Twins. All right, we got a few more games to get through. Next game, we got Marlins Rockies. 5.76 total for the Marlins, 5.24 for the Rockies. Yuri Perez, 7.1K. Austin Gomber, 5.4K. I think Perez might be more popular than he should be here. In cores, we saw Cabrera do decent enough last night, and the kind of the lack of mid-tier pitching might kind of boost Perez up a little bit. If he's getting anywhere, if he's getting anywhere near like 15+% ownership, I have absolutely no interest in him. Which I think he will on this slate, which is just crazy to think about. A guy in cores, but yeah, 33% K rate. I think both of his starts were at home though, so certainly massive shift in Park going from Miami to Coors Field. Not the highest K rates, or about, I guess, balanced, probably league average overall for the Rockies. So I'm probably going to be out on Perez. I think I would rather just pay for Alex Cobb or Smiley, or I don't even know, Erod, something like that. I don't like to pay down too much for SB2. I probably even prefer Bayo on this next game. So I'm probably out on Perez. I think he's going to get more ownership than he should here in Coors. I think that's just the best way to put it. Gomber on the other side, no interest. He's pitched decent in Coors this year, but yeah, it's not happening. We're not playing him in at all, really, no matter what park he's in. All right. On the Marlins side, this is your top stack again. They're still just so affordable outside of Soler, or outside the top three batters. No one over 4K. So I think it makes for your top stack again. It's going to be chalky for good reason. I think Strider, Cole, 5-man Marlins is going to be the popular stack. I think you can look at Soler's number, 462 ISO versus lefties. So he should absolutely crush in this spot. Gomber's actually a little worse versus righties. It gives me some interest to like Cooper or De La Cruz or somebody like that. So I would just be careful with Soler. He's probably going to be, he's your top hitter for good reason, but in single entry contests and things like that, he might be approaching 50% owned. So if you don't select the Marlins, it might be a good pivot off him just to go someone else. I could even see going like Chris Bryant on the other side for about the same price. But if you do play the Marlins, probably just don't pair them with Strider and Cole. I think that would be a good place to maybe go Sonny Gray, go Cole Gray or Strider Gray or something like that. I think that is different enough. We do have a big slate, so might keep ownership in check. Over on the Rocky side, they make for a good leverage here, especially if Perez gets some ownership. I'm not seeing ownership on Perez right now, but I think that's going to go up. Let's see if, yeah, he's been pretty bad versus lefties this year. Still high ISO numbers versus righties. So he can certainly be attacked here in the spot. Huge K rate versus righties though. So it gives me a little bit of pause. I guess McMahon and Moustakas would be my favorite plays in the middle, just power lefties. I guess even Blackman at the top. His price is usually just stupid for who he is. Yeah, 5.1K. Maybe just Moustakas really is my interest here. But I think it's more of a leverage play. I might just take some one-offs, hoping Perez gets some ownership. But the price tags on the Rockies make them tough to full stack. All right, over on the next game, we got Red Sox Angels, 4.75 total for both teams. Brian Bayo, 6.3K versus Griffin Canning, 6.8K. We have a lot of interest in Bayo here in the spot. He's my favorite cheap pitcher. He's been really good lately. Only 5 innings, but he's gone 5 innings, 4 straight games. He's gone 5+ Ks, 4 straight games with 2 or less runs. So really just a solid pitcher. We saw Tanner Houck have a good game against these Angels. And the Angels just don't scare me against righties. They just have, a lot of right-handed power in their lineup. So seeing a righty kind of neutralizes that. Let's see if Bayo has good splits versus righties. I guess that'll be the tell on whether or not we play him in this spot, just because he's going to see a lot of righties. Yeah, about even. Righties versus lefties. Has a little bit better K rate versus righties, though. I do like seeing that. So I think Bayo's my favorite cheap option. If you end up under 7K and you need a pitcher, I would take Bayo over like Dustin Lynch or Daniel Lynch, or even over Marco Gonzalez. I think Bayo, he's like I said, I'm gonna try to pay up twice, but I have to go cheap. I don't mind Bayo here in the spot. Henning on the other side, he's just been very underwhelming since he came back from injury this year against a low strikeout team in the Red Sox. I just have no interest. Yeah, look, only 1 start in double digits, and that was against Oakland. So no interest in Canning. The Red Sox on the other side, their prices are just tough. All their lefties are, they have, Verdugo, Yoshida, Devers are all 5+ K. Casas makes for a cheap one-off. Devers his price tag's appropriate, but it's just hard to full stack. So I think they make. They should be fairly low owned. I think here in the spot, I don't think many people will go here. So maybe just see what you can afford. Valdez makes for a good piece at the bottom of the order. So just looking at it, even if you maybe fade the top 2 guys or top 3 and go Devers, Duran, Casas, Valdez, McGuire. That's that kind of stinks that you can't get top of the order here, but I think that makes for a cheap stack. You should be able to still get 2 10+ K pitchers, and that should make you different. So I do have some interest in the Red Sox just because Canning's been so bad. Over on the other side, don't have a lot of interest in the full stack for the Angels. Like we just talked about, Bayo's been pretty solid, 2 runs or less in like 4 straight starts. Maybe just attack him with a couple one-offs here. Obviously, Trout and Ohtani are always in play. Renfroe has good numbers. Walsh, lower than I would have wanted to see versus righty. And Bayo has pretty low ISO rates. He's a heavy ground ball pitcher. So I'm probably just out completely on the Angels here in this spot. All right, last game. We got A's Mariners, 3.3 total for the A's, 5.2 for the Mariners. Luis Medina, 5.5K. Marco Gonzalez, 6.7K. I've played Medina a few times this year. He's been decent enough. I think those were like short slates where we didn't have a lot of options. Low strikeout guy. The Mariners certainly provide a good strikeout matchup for opposing pitching, but I think I'd rather just go to Bayo or one of these other guys. I think going to Medina is probably just getting too cute, even at 5.5K. Maybe even go Bobby Miller against the Braves before you go Medina, just because the upside, the strikeout upside might be there for Miller. I think I'm gonna be out on Medina. More just hoping he can keep the Mariners in check if you don't play Seattle. All right, over on the flip side, we got to figure out Marco Gonzalez because he got absolutely destroyed last start. I think it was by the Red Sox. Yeah. 1 inning, 8 runs. So just an extremely low strikeout pitcher. The A's are a top 10 team against left-handed pitching. I'm going to be out on Gonzalez here. Just 13% K rate is crazy low. I am going to be interested to see this lineup. Floriano's in the 3-hole. I really do like the A's here on this slate. I think they provide good value, and we certainly like them against lefties. I think this is a spot to go to for a cheap stack. For cheap stack, like I said, I think the Tigers are in play. Maybe the Brewers. I don't know how cheap you can make them. But then right after that, I think is the A's. Might not go full stack. Aguilar's going to get subbed out for Noda at some point. Diaz, I feel like, might get subbed out at some point. So I think one or two of these top 3 batters, I think that's where I'll go. Rooker might get kind of steamed up and get good ownership, but he's been absolutely crushing the ball. So I could see a Ruiz Rooker combo at the top of this order, just kind of provide you some value. All right, over on the Mariners side, I think it's going to be right there with like the Astros is one of the top teams on the slate. But like we showed, Medina's been decent enough. I have not been a fan of the Mariners lately. They've been pretty underwhelming. Yeah, you can see Medina. Yeah, 3-3 his last 2 starts. 7 obviously before that against the Angels. I think I'm going to be out on the Mariners here. At least as the full stack. Let me see if anything jumps off the page, but don't love stacking in this ballpark either. The home team, they probably won't get the 9th inning back because I'm sure they'll be winning. Medina is really bad versus righties. It gives me interest in J-Rod, of course. I can see Suarez taking him deep, obviously. So I think I might just take some pieces here. Kalinick, obviously, is always in play as well. So I think Rodriguez, Kalinick, Suarez, and then even the price on Teoscar is pretty nice at 3.9K. So anywhere 3 through 7 hitters, I could see just taking a couple guys. But I think I'm probably out on the full stack on Seattle. Might just be tough to afford to with what I'm planning to do at pitcher. All right, that's the full slate. We can go quick recap. We got Strider and Cole at the top. I like Strider more, but he's more expensive. So just see if you can afford him. If not, Cole at 11.2. It's a tougher. Strider against Dodgers, Cole against the Orioles. They're fairly tough matchups. Nothing is for certain, especially against those 2 teams. So I think they'll be the highest owned appropriately. But Darvish against the Nationals and Gray against the Giants make for fine pivots. If Cole and Strider are getting 40+% ownership, then maybe you can at least pivot off one of those guys. But it might be tough to pay for 2 10K pitchers. So as we go down, the middle range is kind of Mackenzie Gore, Cody Senga, and Eduardo Rodriguez. I think I like Rodriguez the most out of them. Senga is kind of the wild card. He has massive upside. Maybe, but we've seen Erod have 30+ points at times as well. So I think I'd rank on Rodriguez, Senga, Gore, just because Gore's in a tough matchup against the Padres. As we go cheaper, I think Bayo is in play at 6.3K. Cobb, I guess, is in play as well, but he'd be 4th on that list we just talked about. I think Bayo's in play at 6.3K, and you absolutely have to go to the bottom of the barrel. You can go Bobby Miller versus the Braves, but just proceed with caution, certainly with that. Our top offenses is going to be the Marlins again. I know it's the easy answer, but they're just so cheap that people are going to play Cole, Strider, and mix and match this bottom of the order with Soler. So just try to get different. If you go Strider, Cole, probably get off the 5-man for the Marlins, or maybe play the Marlins without Soler. That's risky, but it will make you different. So, because I think just about every Marlins stack is going to have Soler. So after that, I think we have the Astros against Colin Ray for good reason. Ray's terrible. So like I said, the Astros getting to him, but just it's going to be tough to make these prices work. So just see what you can do. And then after that, we have the Mariners probably against Medina. Just any team against the A's is in play. So I think that's where your stacks come from. For one-offs, we kind of talked about. I think a couple of the Red Sox might be in play. Really like the Brewers as kind of an under the radar cheap stack. Brewers and Tigers, I think, make for good value stacks if you do pay up twice for pitching. So just play with that and see what you can do. So all right, hope that helps. Good luck, everybody. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you at the top.